Hey guys, we won't do long introductions. My friend Axel Reitz is here with me. And in the last video about the Nordbahn, we talked about overlap between right-wing extremists and biker gangs is not new. Bikers returning to extremism isn't surprising. Back then, we were also called the first neo-Nazi biker gang in Schwarzer Schal. This development has been seen for many years. Many right-wing extremists have also adopted the symbols of bikers. Now Curtin is changing too. He rides motorcycles and the right-wing extremist scene is now involved with the red light district, drug trafficking and more, a real mix. How does that fit together? Axel, we will talk in a moment about a boxing event that took place in Bremen, near Bremen, where a well-known neo-Nazi who makes no secret of it boxed there and they give him a platform. Axel, this mixed scene isn't surprising, is it?
No, of course, at first it sounds very strange. That neo-Nazis who stand for law and order, a clean, pure Germany where there is no crime, no foreign infiltration, and only happiness in the national community, suddenly fraternize more with structures that actually represent the exact opposite. That's an absolute blatant contradiction, but it can be resolved if you take a look at the similarities. Yes, we've talked about those many times in longer videos. And to briefly summarize them, it's the outlaw existence. Both Nazis and bikers see themselves as outlaws, long for a close-knit community, and often have a hyper-masculinity. Yes, a contempt for women comes with that, which in one area leads to women simply being seen as commodities, who can then be forced into prostitution, who can be exploited. Yes, and there are already a lot of similarities in their worldviews on an emotional level. If you ask a biker what do you have to do with right-wing extremists, they ultimately want to put people like you in camps. Then they'll say, nonsense, those are solid guys, we get along, respect each other, and share the same sense of honor. Bro, we're men of honor. And on this human level, connections are made that simply can't even be discussed openly. I experienced that back then, and that was the first time it really became widely noticed that there are such connections. It was with Sascha Rossmüller, a longtime neo-Nazi, then deputy federal chairman of the National Democratic Party of Germany, now called Die Heimat. He was and still is a member of the Bandidos, and that was something else because the Bandidos were very multicultural at the time. So the deputy chairman of a party that wants foreigners out is a member of a group that is considered organized crime and is also strongly multicultural. Even then, if asked, the reply was always, yeah, why? Those are solid people, you can rely on them, they have honor. 2020.
That's the world. I make it the way I like it. That's right, my brother. My foreign brother is not a criminal and he's alright. Even if he is a criminal, he's alright. Only the others. He also says it's too much for him with the foreigners. I've heard that often. Hardcore neo-Nazis are present in all major clubs, including Bandidos, Hells Angels, Gremium, and Outlaws. Strange one. People sometimes ask, how does that work? So there are youth gangs in there. There are even some hardcore Muslims in there who also twist the worldview to fit themselves. They ask, how do you reconcile that with prostitution, drugs, and similar issues? And that's a lot. Even with all that, I twist things to suit myself, just the way I need them at the moment.
Pippi Longstocking, and of course when you do it, it's legitimate, you have good reasons for it. But when others do it, it's really bad. That's also this refusal to take personal responsibility. We can also see this very clearly with right-wing extremists who now rant about censorship, about the erosion of the rule of law, about a dictatorship of opinion. But in reality, they themselves support one of the worst dictatorships the world has ever seen, and they don't see any contradiction in that. Basically, it's just about this. If I oppress, if I murder, if I commit crimes, it's legitimate because I have good reasons for it. And I'm a cool guy. The others are just evil and terrible and awful. If they do it, then I'm allowed to lament about it.
Yeah, I think before we get into the article now, at Endstation Rechts, who often do good research articles, I know the standard answer that comes up, which says, yeah, he was invited there as a boxer, through some detours, what his political views are and what they're not. It wasn't about politics, it was about boxing. That's just an excuse. A platform is being offered. He misused it on his channel too. I was invited here and boxed there. There's overlap. No neo-Nazis are mentioned too. I wonder how it is with other brothers who are migrants. How that said, this overlap with neo Nazis, for me, a lot of it is simply not understandable. So I just can't make sense of it.
I have to say, Philip Schlaffer, we're not really dealing with true ideologues here. These are all people who are more like street activists who would rather let their fists do the talking than their words. And both on their side and on the opposing side, things just click on a human level. Then they'll say, he's cool and we agree with him against those in power, the state, and too many foreigners. He doesn't mean me. He's decent to me. He's cool with me. Solid guy. And on this personal level, friendships and connections are formed that make this unfortunate alliance, this actually eclectic, mismatched alliance, sustainable, simply on a personal level.
You're going to be surprised now. Many who know the channel will say, oh, which neo-Nazi is that? You can't imagine. It's the gym bag droppers who explain to us what a bus looks like. It's really about Lasse Ritchie and the mayor, as he calls himself, Patrick. Is that Patrick? Me?
I mean, they're so significant that I forgot them right away. It's that simple.
This article is only about Lasse Ritchie, though the mayor, who calls himself that, is also mentioned. It's bad enough that I'm doing this.
Yes, mayor of
nothing, of mayor of close your eyes, you see what you rule. So now we're going to go into this article because I want to show you how everything interacts there. And that's also something you always have to pay attention to. Yes, Hells Angels, neo-Nazis, and a boxing event. Criminal biker gangs like the Hells Angels are considered apolitical in this country. A dangerous trivialization, as they've collaborated with neo-Nazis for decades. Combat sports and hooliganism play key roles in rejuvenation and radicalization, as shown by a boxing event in Lower Saxony. Article by Otto Belina von Dimsek, July 22, 2025. I also had a television request about this, but I was on vacation, so I didn't want to do an interview because I was on vacation. Like I said, I couldn't fit it in, but that's not why we're delaying it. Here we can see where the boxing event took place, with a ring set up outside. And here it is. Last weekend, Hells Angels investors and right-wing extremists gathered here for open-air boxing. Many cycling tourists on the L338 between Dunsen and Hubstedt Sunday afternoon were surprised but kept their distance out of fear. A large boxing ring stood outside the Hells Angels Westside Place clubhouse, with over 150 mostly male guests. Dressed in Biga and martial arts gear with many tattoos, they mingled among luxury cars and bikes. The West Side Charter had invited people to open-air boxing, and the who's who of the neo-Nazi scene between Delmenhorst and Bremen showed up. Also present was Alexander Deptoller from Dortmund, who now lives in Halberstadt. Deptoller is the organizer of the Notorious Battle of the Nibelungs, the largest and now banned martial arts event of the far-right scene in Western Europe. He was a prominent member of Dortmund's violent comradeship scene for years and, per Mitteldeutscher Rundfunk, is among 72 far-right threats nationwide. The Federal Criminal Police Office labels people as threats if they are believed capable of serious political crimes. His friendship with the Hells Angels isn't new. On New Year's Eve 2017, he celebrated with the Hells Angels in Rostock. Yes, you've already said a lot about Alexander Deptoller. You're not a fan of his?
I never was. You can also read a funny story about Alexander Deptoller in my book, which clearly shows what he was like back then. That doesn't change the fact that despite his underwhelming intellectual abilities, this man is still an extremely dangerous right-wing extremist. He's a networker who pulled it off through the already mentioned Battle of the Nibelungs and contacts in martial arts, the hooligan scene, and organized crime. Also to build networks that are highly toxic, that are extremely dangerous. And you must not underestimate this man. Even if the people who knew him from before smile when it's said that he is a great leader, you don't always have to be the smartest one who can recite and define the 25 points of the National Socialist German Workers' Party program to be a leading neo-Nazi. The man is a firecracker, a tough street activist and key organizer. And very, very dangerous.
Right-wing extremists and bikers together. 8 fights were set for the open-air boxing event in Doomsen, each with 3 2-minute rounds. The host of the event was Michael Wellering, one of the most influential Hells Angels in the West. 3 judges and a referee named Samira who owned the numbers. They weren't entirely willing, but they agreed to do it, according to Wellering. Sufficient vouchers for food and drinks, so sufficient vouchers for food and drinks were available at the event. At the merchandise stand, supporter shirts from West Side were offered for €30, and the men from the Prospect Charter Münster took care of parking directions. Yes, so Michael Wellering, a long-time Hell's Angel. We had that too. Overlap, but I'll get to that in my series later. Highly influential and well known, with significant authority, though his name rarely comes up. But also Bremen, a long tenure, also fought a lot. There were even shootings in Bremen back then, bandidos driven out, robberies with fatalities and so on. Much happened in Lower Saxony and Bremen, though it's sometimes overlooked. Still, there was plenty going on. He's been in office for a long time. Here we see a short video, but I have something else coming up soon. But I think you can see the kind of audience we expected at this event. I can let it run for a moment. Ready?
To rumble, let's... I'm Samira's command.
Yeah, it's already pretty special now.
Did you run it? I didn't see anything, just the still image returned for me.
You say you didn't miss anything? Okay.
Okay, good. Now I'm a little sad. I thought, man, a big experience. If you say I didn't miss anything, I believe you.
I'll just trust myself on that. Danny Gierden ran a martial arts studio in Oldenburg. Some of his 220 fighters joined the Battle of the Nibelungs. In 2018, he posed for a photo with the identitarian from the region, Mario Müller, who Gierden says he didn't know, according to the Nordwest Zeitung. The local newspaper calls him an alleged Nazi coach, but Gierden is also from there.
I don't know the Bremen hooligan scene at all. I also sometimes let people take pictures of me who I've never seen before. Mario Müller, yes, also a well-known right-wing extremist. I still know him personally from the neo-Nazi scene. He recently, unfortunately, unsuccessfully tried to sue me. Yes, so he's also someone who has been active for many, many years. I believe he's still working as a research assistant for the AfD in the Bundestag, for one of the MPs there. So he's also someone who's involved everywhere, a jack of all trades who's very militant. And it doesn't surprise me that connections are becoming clear here as well, even if they are later denied. Like, I didn't even know who that is. Trust me, bro, no idea.
Just so you can see all these overlaps here, that this isn't a joke either. And you have to say it too. I still have respect for some clubs that say, yeah, we weren't founded as a criminal organization. We want to ride motorcycles and be outlaws. Go ahead, do it. Yeah, the chances of encountering a criminal in a 1%er motorcycle club are very high. A 1%er club considers itself outside government rules. They live by their own rules, and for them, their own rules are above government laws. To sum it up briefly, I know someone will criticize this, but this overlap means when you agree, we end up working with hardcore neo-Nazis, preparing places for them, taking them in and collaborating with them. Then live free and ride free ends here as well. Yes, so the overlap that we're about to hear is simply, so it's just a bunch of crooks, right?
There's a big danger there. I mean, it's been known for a long time that biker gangs don't hesitate when it comes to their territorial disputes and gang conflicts. It has a long and sad history in Germany. But if they now succeed in introducing a new clientele of right-wing extremists to this world of experience and also to the structures of organized crime, then it is quite possible that the rules and behaviors from there will also be transferred to the political struggle. And that's something we really need to pay close attention to so that we don't end up experiencing a new kind of right-wing extremist terror of an entirely different quality, in which, in fact, organized action is taken against political opponents where it is no longer just words. It's no longer just about saying, yeah, this is a nationally liberated zone where we hold demonstrations and rallies, but instead, people are pulling out knives, guns, and batons, smashing everything to pieces, and not even shying away from a constant readiness to commit murder. Yes, if we see someone here that we don't want to see, and there's already a lot wrong with that, yes, an unfortunate alliance is forming here and getting more extreme, especially among young people, right?
Michael Wellering, the Hells Angels spokesperson, told guests Sunday that two of his brothers allegedly invented the story about the boxing event in Dünsen. One Hells Angels brother mentioned is Christoph Mohamman from Gandakisi, Anyone can interpret the right-wing extremist Bremen hooligan group National Socialist Hooligans Bremen for themselves. My immediate interpretation would be National Socialist Hooligans Bremen, but that's just my interpretation. He was active, appearing in photos with Gierden. Moorman runs a security company and teaches Krav Maga. Moorman greets some guests, with Category C singer Hannes Ostendorf standing beside him. Delmenhorst native and hooligan Stefan Arlich, along with Django Triller, national spokesperson for the biker gang. In 2012, Triller told Norddeutscher Rundfunk they would closely monitor right-wing extremists within their ranks. Neo-Nazis have always tried to infiltrate the Hells Angels, but if we notice they're active, we immediately kick them out. A media statement that was believed for too long and too easily. Yeah, Hannes Ostendorf doesn't just drop by accident either.
Ostendorf, yeah, he's also a longtime member, an important figure. Also a link between far-right hooligans and the classic far-right scene. His brother is also a longtime official in various neo-Nazi groups. Yeah, so apparently they didn't look too closely there, did they? But the abrupt expulsion didn't work out quite as well as it was always marveled at in the media. That's not surprising, since this cross-connection has been around for a long time. And that's exactly how the door is knowingly opened for people from political extremism.
Yes, right-wing extremist boxers. Among the announced boxers was Lasse Richer, a right-wing extremist thug known to the police. One is from the Braunschweig scene and another is a Delmenhorst hooligan. Richer participated in the National Democratic Party of Germany youth group, Junge Nationaldemokraten, now Junge Nationalisten, and belonged to the violent martial arts group Adrenalin Braunschweig. He stood out for years due to threats and attacks and has practiced martial arts since 2005. In January and June 2019, Adrenalin Braunschweig posted a sticker reading, "We will kill you." Jansen on the apartment door of the family of David Jansen, the former spokesperson of the Alliance Against the Right in Braunschweig. A few days earlier, Richer is said to have made a threat in an Instagram video, alluding to the murder of the Kassel government president Walter Lübcke. Today Walter, tomorrow Jansen. It's really not a joke.
Really, 25 speed cameras, I stopped your gender experiments, cancel. Oh, a police officer. My feet. I hadn't yet, not lying blissfully. I would take such threats very, very seriously. And I also ask here why such a clear threat was obviously not prosecuted under criminal law. Because that's another thing. A blatant violent offender is knowingly allowed to get away with something like that. Which won't lead him to say at some point, I went too far, but instead he'll take it even further. That's very, very sad.
Yeah, over and over again. Wait a second. During the violent right-wing riots at an AfD demonstration in late August 2018, Richard allegedly chased authorities with other martial artists. Hell's Angels spokesperson Wellington introduces neo-Nazi Dunzel to Lasse saying, "A solid man, you did a good job." The solid guys? His coaches kept the furious fighter in check throughout the 3 rounds, repeating, "Stay calm." Lasse, however, later demands in a video, "Go for the liver, liver, liver," or also, "Lasse, he's one of us." Tobias G., another right-wing figure from Braunschweig, is introduced by Wellering as Finn's opponent, one of our own. Two scenes have long since merged, and it's hardly possible to tell them apart anymore. Early in the year, an anti-fascist group in Hamburg highlighted Richard and Gefis' involvement in an upcoming boxing match. Neo-Nazis use wrestling matches to prepare for street fights against political opponents and benefit from being normalized through public fights. Like the announced red light fight night at the docks, it was said that if you don't look too closely, the right-wingers were uninvited. But in Dunzel, it's far too late for distancing. The networks are too tightly woven. Also, neither the police nor politicians appear willing to take responsibility for the event. Yeah, it's pretty interesting, the approach.
Actually, there too. Again, you have to say it's a failure of the state that nobody is really paying attention there, that it's not being made clear, hey, there's a danger here. Here, we don't just have people from the usual suspects, but by now, a mixed scene of violent neo-Nazis who are training their skills here, who are finding networks here that they benefit from. And those willing to use violence and act militantly are further incited. That's one thing. Yeah, I don't feel comfortable with that, to put it mildly.
Mixed scenes with potential for violence from Bremen and Helsingen's motorcycle club Westside were banned in Bremen in 2013. Violent clashes with rival Mongols had occurred before, causing many injuries. In 2013, police searched 12 bikers' premises in Bremen and Delmenhorst, seizing weapons, gas pistols, steroids, data carriers, and cash. A Senate report states that from 2005 to 2023, Bremen and Helsingens were prosecuted for crimes. At least 10 were convicted of assault, human trafficking threats, and weapons offenses. Here you can see a picture now. Lasse Richard is involved with the boxing ring. And yes, on the video channel, they have new content again showing their boxing and interviews. It's completely far right and neo-Nazi throughout. Whether you have to give people like that a platform, that's really shocking. And I don't know if that's necessary or if people just say, yeah, now we don't care about anything anymore. Today it's called
Solid people. Heard about him, he's reliable, stands up for himself, stands tall, and is a good guy. Why are you against him? What's wrong with you, Philip?
So,
That's how it's argued.
yes. Today, they call themselves Westside Split Apart instead of Westside United, and they meet in Dunsen in the district of Oldenburg. In September 2014, Michael Wellering posted from Bremen as a Westside member on Facebook. He was formerly the chapter's president. The Angels kept contact points and meeting places in the Hanseatic city, but moved their main activities to Lower Saxony's surrounding area. Motorcycle Club Legion, a sympathetic club, has settled near Handelstetten on the western state border. On the eastern watch is the Brotherhood Radical Kameraden Bremen. The common factor is old right-wing hooligan debts. Wellering from Cuxhaven contrasts as the approachable, honorable Hell's Angel with a gentleman's code. He plays golf in Nahansiga. I don't know, he has a polite demeanor. His Westside place was reserved for the shooting festival on the 29th. It became available on June 29th and is favored by local marksmen and markswomen as shown in bikers' Facebook photos.
I just can't understand that. Now you have this kind of fig leaf, a wolf in sheep's clothing, who appears jovial, friendly, close to the people, maintaining this legend. Hey, we may be bikers, but we're not criminals. That's all just propaganda. We have nothing to do with that. We take a close look at who we're dealing with. We just want to ride free and have a good life. You need to understand that, but we can still cooperate well. And that's already very, very dangerous when normalization happens with people who are active in structures that are highly, highly, highly questionable and sometimes even criminal. Young people are then drawn into this environment, and to make matters worse, the door is now being held wide open for neo-Nazi structures, which are welcomed there with open arms. And if you think this through to the end, it's only logical at some point. If you don't pay attention to it, don't address it, and don't try to intervene anywhere, that at such festivals, where civil society in the form of clubs gathers on such properties, they also encounter organized neo-Nazis who might act a bit nice and friendly there. And there they find the stage where they can see themselves as being anchored in the middle of society, which only further fuels their violence and militancy. The people are behind us, the nation is on our side, now we're going to do something. We have networks here, we're involved everywhere here, and we're no longer excluded. This normalization through these structures is extremely dangerous.
Yes, and politically, like the right-wing hooligan scene, the connection between right-wing extremists, Bremen, hooligans, martial arts, and Helsingen has been known for years. Still, this dangerous mix spread unchecked into parts of Lower Saxony. The members sit in the box at Werder Bremen or in the very important person area at the Oberliga club Atlas Delmenhorst. The political center is said to be the brothers Henrik and Hannes Ostendorf. Starting in 2014, they organized the violent hooligans against Salafists, aggressive. In Cologne, with Category C singer Hannes Ostendorf, who's a hero at both the Dunsen boxing event and at Helsingen, home game of Atlas Delmenhorst. It's no surprise when a Delmenhorst hooligan fights the Helsingen under the watch of a local league coach. The bikers officially distance themselves from right-wing politics. Due to many club and customer bans, they present themselves on social media as victims of government overreach, exploiting society's rightward shift. They consider themselves apolitical despite many staff members coming from neo-Nazi groups. Helsingen from Bremen helped organize COVID-denying protests on the Weser. He wore a Star of David with lettering, a symbol favored by Querdenker. Being seen as multicultural is meant to keep gangs like Helsingen or Bandidos from being suspected of racist ideology.
Between the lines. You're reading too fast.
Okay, sorry.
Slow down. If people don't know the article, they'll wonder what was said and what's happening.
Yeah, I switched into reading mode. Bremen local Hellsegen helped organize weather protests that denied Corona's existence. He wore the Star of David, popular among the Querdenker movement, with the word unvaccinated written on it. Their multicultural reputation is meant to make gangs like Hellsingen or Bandidos seem free from racist ideology. We've had that a few times already where people say, hey, look, I'm friends with one of them. Look at the club. We have that here. We have them. We have Turkey. Yes, we have people from those countries. We have Indonesia. We have Thailand. And so we can't possibly be racists because they're our brothers.
That's the classic argument which you often find in society as well. I can't possibly be a racist, and what I just said can't be considered racist because I also have friends from abroad. How is that supposed to work? It can't be that things are being pushed to the extreme here. Then that organized neo-Nazis are involved and people always pretend otherwise. Yeah, they're not like that with us and we don't interfere with what they do privately. That's just freedom.
More banner carriers are now openly right wing. For more than a decade, clubs such as the Red Devils, Hells Angels, and Gremium have allowed neo Nazis to join. While investigating National Socialist underground crimes, authorities discovered weapons trafficking between neo Nazis and bikers. In Rostock and Salzwedel, ex militant neo Nazi leaders rose to lead regional Hells Angels chapters. Many MCs, like the Bandidos offshoot Vengata in Anklam or Gremium in Bremerhaven, provide their club roles. In Bremen's Fandorf district, red light bikers and neo-Nazis celebrated the wedding of a band member together in a clubhouse in 2014. In Wilhelmshaven, Garville Gieder, president of a Wilhelmshaven Gremium support club, led the local Pegida chapter. In 2016, the Hells Angels, Michael Welling, and a far-right local politician attempted to make Parcel One their clubhouse in Bremen. However, they failed due to protests in the Hanseatic city. On the day of Donald Trump's first election victory, Hells Angels Media uploaded a clip to YouTube in which German Hells Angels pointed out their brother's support for the American hate-monger and billionaire. Django and Timo from Bremen told their viewers that the Obama administration's dirigisme dictated how people should live. Many people were fed up with that. The Hells Angels prophesied that the election in the United States of America would also have consequences for Germany.
It's very clear that people here are expressing themselves politically and are also clearly taking the side of a particular political direction. That's no coincidence. The claim where apolitical politics doesn't interest us doesn't really hold up.
Yeah, it's also about this strong man who's loud on the internet, and that too. It's still no monkeys in club. That means no black people are allowed in. That this rule exists, the United States of America won't relax it either, in my opinion. But I'm not an insider, but this rule does exist. Many people keep contacting me on Instagram, by email, or online. Yes, this overlap is simply a danger. You have to pay attention to it. It's a shame that more wasn't made out of it. It's been known for a long time, especially in Bremen with the banner at soccer games. There are a lot of veteran hooligans there, especially from right-wing extremism, where we also had many long-standing contacts. As I mentioned in my series, it was always about Bremen. I was also arrested after a drug-related drive that started in Bremen. All these overlaps exist there. Not surprising. For me, it's all about Alexander Deptoller. Everything. Osnabrück, Helsinki. Laszlo Richard. Those connections are impressive. It's enough to make your head spin.
Can't deny it anymore either. You know, if it were just some follower from the very back row who was once active in neo-Nazi circles, you might still be able to believe it. If they say something like, well, we have no idea who that is, I don't know. But the who's who of right-wing extremism, of organized militant street activism is standing there with them, ready for action, being welcomed by them. They're referred to as solid guys. So these contacts haven't just appeared recently. It's not a coincidence. It's systematic. There have already been alliances that have been solidified, and they bring in a whole new quality into the danger of militant right-wing extremism, which we must not turn a blind eye to. So there are things coming together that are mutually fueling each other in an absolutely dangerous negative direction. And in my opinion, this will continue in the future because this lifestyle that can be presented in the biker scene is much more successful than what right-wing extremists can pull off. That will attract people who think I can be a Nazi and join them too. Then I have money, women, status, and structure. Yeah, there's even better solidarity there, better brotherhood. Yeah, you can even get physical there without anyone complaining about it. That's a very, very, very dangerous environment that's being created there.
You captured what makes it appealing, and I appreciate that it's your perspective as an outsider. Yes, a quick input on that. The fact that it happened in the summer means that many media outlets will definitely keep looking at it to see what overlaps there are. We're aware of this risk. I'll give a brief input on this, which will take about 30 minutes when we've managed it well. Thanks everyone. Check out Axel's book, I Was the Hitler of Cologne. My work is also at King of the Bronx. All info is under the YouTube videos with the beef. Bandits with Philip. Advertising is essential. At Z Plus, you know everything too. Thanks with Philip 10. It has to happen occasionally. Thanks, Daniel Kahn. Thumbs up or down. Comment on Patreon for updates. Thank you for your time, Axel Schoen. And then, as always, we say goodbye with an ahoy from the coast.